today's lesson with, down here, an old definition that you should know. Do you remember back in the day if you did like 2 to the 5th power? It's not 10, which a lot of Algebra 2 kids tell me it's 10. It's not 10. It's this number multiplied that many times. 2 times 2 times 2. And what does that actually equal? 32. Right, it equals 32, not 10. 32. And if I have, for instance, 4 to the 3rd, that's not 12, it's 4 times 4 times 4? 64. And if I have 5, let's do negative 5 to the 2nd. That means negative 5 times negative 5, which is?
25.
So you know that already. Well, today we're doing 0 exponents and negative exponents. And if you try to think of it, if I have, for instance, 4 to the 0, if you try to think of this in the same way as you did with the others, how do I multiply 4 by itself 0 times?
You don't.
Right, you don't. So I would like to point out something over here. Remember what we were doing with the it's over itself and it's subtract the exponents? If you subtract, what's 2 take away 2? So really, would that be x to the 0? What's 5 take away 5?
0.
So would that really be y to the 0?
Yeah.
And what do you notice? Look at, what does x to the 0 actually equal?
1.
What does y to the 0 actually equal? Right. So there's a definition. Well, you could work it out like that every time, but there's a rule that says anything to the 0 power is always equal to 1. Yes. So 110 to the 0 power is equal to? 1. Right. And 367 to the 0? 1. And 5,378,241 to the 0?
1.
Right. And what if I have, oh, let's make it an A to the 10th, and a B to the 63rd, a C to the 45th, and a D to the 28th, all raised to the 0?
1.
And you could think of it as, okay, I'm going to multiply these. That'd be A to the 0, and B to the 0, and C to the 0, and D to the 0. Oops, not 0. What is it?
1.
Right, it's 1. So you get the idea that anything to the 0 power is equal to?
1.
Always. Anything to the 0 is equal to 1. So that's half the lesson, the zeros. Now, the negative exponents. By the way, did anyone have questions about the 0 exponent? There's not really anything, it's just that's the way it is. But now, what if we try to do a negative exponent? And again, if you think of it in the usual way that we think of exponents, this would be 2 multiplied by itself, negative 5 times. 2 multiplied by itself, negative 5 times doesn't really make sense. So I would like to point out down here again where we were subtracting these. Yesterday we said just always subtract the big one minus the small. Well, if I do it the other way and always do top take away bottom, what would that be? X to the 3rd. What would this be if I do top take away bottom? That would be x to the negative 3rd. Yes. So the part that I'm interested in is this right here. What is x to the negative actually equal to?
1 over x.
You move it to the bottom and change the sign of the exponent and make it positive 3. So if you have a negative exponent, you just move it to the bottom and make the exponent positive. If you have a negative exponent, you just move it to the bottom and make the exponent positive.
How could you tell?
So what do I do?
You
I
move it to the bottom.
to the bottom and make the exponent positive. Now, I'm pretty sure you know how to work that out. In the denominator, it would just be 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. 1 over,
32.
right? And if I had, where is this one? 4 to the negative 3. What do? I move it to the bottom and make it, so it's going to be 1 over 4 times 4 times 4. And likewise, look at this one. This one has a negative. If it's negative 5 to the negative 2, here's a word of caution for you. When you move it, you never ever change the sign out front. You can never change the sign out front. It's got to be negative 5. The only sign you change is the exponent to the positive 2. Does that make sense? Don't ever touch the sign in front. So that's 1 over negative 5, like that. Yes? Are we good so far?
Oh, yeah.
Because now we can start doing some of the ones that they do in the book. Like, do you have a question there?
She's helping you guys. Yeah. Shh.
Like this one? Be careful. This does not have parentheses, so the exponent only goes with the c, right? Does this have a negative exponent?
No.
No, so you leave that alone, but this thing with the negative exponent, you move it down and make the exponent positive. And there isn't really any simplifying I can do for that, so that's just my answer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And no work to show for that one either. Be
Yikes.
careful though.
Yikes.
What if the exponent is out front or outside the parentheses? Remember that exponent goes with both of these now, right? So it would be negative 3 raised to the negative 2. And then it would also be c raised to the negative 2. Right? What do you do if it's negative? You move it to the bottom and make the exponent positive, not the sign up front. This one, it's negative, move it to the bottom, make it positive. What do I put on top then?
1.
Right? So what is that going to equal? 1 over
9c squared.
9c squared.
That's good.
So the parentheses make a difference. Here the power goes with the negative 3 also. Up here, no parentheses, the power only goes with the c then. Make sense? How about something like this? 2 negative 1 a 0 b 3. What do I do with the 2? Because it's negative, I'm going to put it in the bottom and make it 2 to the first, or just 2. What about the a to the 0? 1. Top or bottom? What about this?
B.
Stays on top. The exponent is positive. You don't need to move it when it's positive. So can I just write that as b to the third over 2 then?
Yep.
Yes.
That sounds good to me. How about this?
2 TR.
I'm working my way up.
Whoa.
2x negative 1, y negative 2.
Oh my.
And might I suggest that you try not to do everything in one step. When you try to do too much in one step, that's when you start making mistakes. So if I were you, I would simplify first by moving all the negatives to where they need to be to get all positive, and then simplify.
Amen.
Would I do anything with the 3?
No.
So that stays on top. Would I do anything with this?
Yes.
Bottom?
Mm-hmm.
Would I do anything with this?
No.
It's positive, it stays on top. Would I do anything with this?
No.
Stays there. Would I do anything here?
Yes.
Bottom.
It's already on the bottom,
Leave it there.
so it goes to the top. Did we
Bruh.
talk about that yet?
Yeah.
If you have, well,
kinda
if you have
sense,
the
though.
negative on top, you move it to the bottom. What if you have the negative on bottom? You move it to the top. So this x negative 1 on bottom is going to go to the top. Likewise,